Good evening and welcome to the news. As usual, a Wednesday package provides extra details of unfolding events, putting a third eye on issues that affect Nigeria and Nigerians by being in different parts of the country to fuel the pulse of the citizens in the nation's march towards development. Tonight, a moving sense as Nigeria bids farewell to the gallant soldiers killed in cold blood in Delta State. House of Representatives engages NASU, SANU and NAT on the recent warning strike by the unions. On elections, Ienre explains logistics behind deployment of assistive devices for Ondo governorship election as political parties begin sale of forms to governorship aspirants. On industry, textile workers give pointers on a pathway to resuscitating the textile industry by turning concepts to reality. Federal government to drive investment in mineral beatification as a solid revenue earner and job creator as minister towards Kaduna Iron Ore Plant. We also have our regulars in agriculture, health, women, youth development, humanitarian activities, infrastructure development, and sports. Of course, Benny Adams is standing by with business. As we say on this shift, the proof of the pudding is in the eating. I'm Ienre, John, and this is News Extra. Welcome. President Bola Tinubu has honored the 17 officers and men of the Nigerian Army who died in the line of duty in Okwama with posthumous national honors. This was at the burial ceremony of the departed personnel at the National Military Cemetery, Abuja. State House correspondent Musbao Dan Wahab reports.
Lieutenant Colonel Abdullahi Ali led 16 officers and men of the Nigerian Army on a peacekeeping mission to save lives from communal crisis. But their entire lives were the ultimate prize. The soldiers, who were described as some of the finest national assets, returned in caskets. With the Commander-in-Chief on ground to pay his last respects, it was a befitting honor, just coming too early.
You are all our heroes. Each man now belongs to the hallowed list of servicemen and women who defended our country and protected their fellow Nigerians, not minding the risk to their own lives.
President Tinubu appreciated the role of the Nigerian military in upholding the unity of the nation, assuring that his government will continue to work to end the cycle of violence and bloodletting in the country, while demanding the cooperation of the elders of the affected communities in identifying the perpetrators. The president says, as part of the honors, the 4 officers involved got posthumous national honor of Member of the Order of Niger, while the 13 soldiers got Officers of the Federal Republic medals.
The federal government will provide housing in any part of our country to each of the families of the 4 officers and 13 soldiers that were among them. The federal government has also approved scholarship to all children of the deceased up to university level. Including those who are in the womb. The military, we appeal to you So within the next 90 days, to ensure that all benefits of departed are paid to their families.
As encouraged by the Commander-in-Chief, the military say they will not be deterred by the action of the enemies of the state in safeguarding the nation and its territory.
To these fallen heroes, to honor their memory by redoubling our efforts to create a safer and more prosperous nation for all. Let us build a nation where every citizen can live without fear, where communities can thrive, and where our children can grow up knowing the true meaning of security and stability.
The Nigerian Army, with the assistance of its sister services and other security agencies, is committed to bringing the perpetrators of the Okwama murder to book and recover all service and personal belongings taken from the murdered troops.
The President, the military and family members paid their last respect to the departed officers and men.
Present! Fire!
In Abuja, Musbah, then Wahab, NTA News.
In a strategic move to bolster the nation's economic governance frameworks and ensure robust and coordinated economic planning and implementation, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu approves the establishment of the Presidential Economic Coordination Council and the creation of the Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force. Elizabeth Omori has details of the composition of the Presidential Economic Coordination Council.
The Presidential Economic Coordination Council comprises leaders and key government officials. They include President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Chairman of the PECC, Vice President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Vice Chairman of the PECC and NEC, President of the Nigerian Senate, Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, Coordinating Minister for the Economy and Minister of Finance, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Minister of Labor and Employment, Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, Minister of Power, Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Minister of State Gas, Minister of Transportation, and Minister of Works. The PECC will also comprise key members of the organized private sector with the following members: Aliko Dangote, Tony Elumelu, Abdulsamad Rabiu, Amina Meina, Begun Ajay Kadri, Funke Okpeke, Doyin Salami, Patrick Okibo, Kola Adeshino, Shegun Agbaje, Chidi Ajeri, Abdulkadri Aliu, and Rashid Sarumi. Furthermore, in its determination to address immediate economic challenges and ensure the streamlined execution of economic strategies, President Bola Tinubu has established the Economic Management Team Emergency Task Force with a mandate to formulate and implement a consolidated emergency economic plan. The task force comprises key government officials and industry leaders in furtherance of the President's collaborative approach towards achieving economic resilience and growth. The EET is now mandated to submit a comprehensive plan of economic interventions for 2024 to the PECC, covering the next 6 months for immediate implementation within 2 weeks of its inauguration. It is composed of the following members: Coordinating Minister of the Economy and Minister of Finance, Chairman of the EET, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Minister of Power, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Coordinating Minister of Health and Social Welfare, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, National Security Advisor, Chairman, Nigeria Governors Forum, Governor of Anambra State, Governor of Ogun State, Governor of Niger State, Executive Chairman, Federal Inland Revenue Service, Director General Budget Office of the Federation, GCEO, NNPC Limited, Director General, Nigeria Economic Summit Group, Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Dr. Bismarck Rewane, Economist, and Dr. Suleiman Undanusa. The EMT is composed of the following officials: Coordinating Minister for the Economy and Minister of Finance, Governor of the Central Bank of Nigeria, Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Minister of Industry, Trade and Investment, Minister of Communications, Innovation and Digital Economy, Minister of Works, Minister of Labour and Employment, Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Minister of State Petroleum Resources, Minister of State Gas, Minister of Power, Minister of Transportation, Minister of Aviation and Aerospace Development, and Minister of Marine and Blue Economy. The President's formation of the PECC under his chairmanship, alongside the creation of the EET, led by the chairman of the EMT, is the manifestation of a unified strategy aimed at enhancing Nigeria's economic management architecture for verifiable improved performance. Over the next 6 months, the EET will focus on rapid implementation, monitoring and evaluation of critical initiatives to advancing Nigeria's economic objectives.
Let's now take a look at health, as the federal government has identified enhanced healthcare delivery as a top priority, with a commitment to support the training of personnel in teaching hospitals and other tertiary health institutions. Vice President Kashim Shettima gave the assurance when he received the management of the University of Maiduguri Teaching Hospital, led by its Chief Medical Director, Professor Ahmed Ahijo, at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila reports.
By management of one of the oldest teaching hospitals in northern Nigeria is taking advantage of the 8 key areas of the renewed hope agenda of the Tinubu administration. Vice President Kashim Shettima started by appreciating the team for the giant strides recorded over the years, with assurance of supporting human capacity development in hospitals across the country. The government, he said, will explore all available windows to support teaching hospitals in the training of personnel and engage more partnerships with the private sector. For the Chief Medical Director, with the support of the government and other stakeholders, the hospital has expanded from a 600 to 1,305 bed facility equipped with the state-of-the-art machines.
Hospital. We are currently also building a fertility care center. We have expanded our kidney center to 85-bedded facility with 4 operating theaters, and many more projects like having a dedicated standalone stroke center, which is the first one in the country that is 150-bedded, and we are looking at all the treatments that are previously obtained outside the country will now be done within the country.
Besides building new centers for trauma, dialysis, cancer and stroke treatment, among others, the hospital boasts of over 100 professors in different areas of specialities.
The whole of the infrastructural development, the human capacity development that we're doing is to key into the programs of the federal government of Nigeria. The president has a very good program for healthcare, especially the much advocated unlocking of the health value chain by the Minister of Health. The University of Maiduguri is key into that program to ensure Nigerians obtain the best health care and to reduce the medical tourism, and similarly to reduce the brain drain.
The Chief Medical Director requested for more support from the government to enable the institution actualize its objective of being an international center of excellence in healthcare delivery and training of personnel through the construction of an electronic health institute to facilitate its digital project. From the State House, Abdurrahman Jibrila, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the federal government has again held the pivotal role of youths in creatively shaping Nigeria's future, declaring that innovation is the driving force behind the nation's manufacturing sector. Here is what is new. There is a deliberate move to prepare youths and identify those ready for future leadership through a national design and innovation competition in the Presidential Villa. Vice President Kashim Shettima, who was at the official launch of the competition, emphasized again that the future belongs to the youth and the creative. State House correspondent Abdurrahman Jibrila again feeds us.
I wish to officially launch the National Design and Innovation Competition. Thank you so much.
It is a new dawn for digital and creative economy as the National Design and Innovation Competition comes on board, as it aims to spur entrepreneurship and creative ventures among Nigerians. The federal government-supported program is organized by the Interior Designers Association of Nigeria.
And the average age of the Nigerian nation is 19. So this is an age group that are pregnant with ideas for innovation and for the social and economic transformation of the Nigerian nation. I see no reason why we shouldn't support them. These are people not begging us to give them contracts or anything. They want us to create the enabling environment for them to explore their full potentials. And this is an ecosystem that they are very much familiar with. And Nigerians are excellent innovators. I want to align myself with your aspirations. And I want to commend you for Made by Design, your Netflix series that brought positive light to the Nigerian nation. And of course, it's not the size of a bank that matters. It's the drive, it's the commitment of the leadership.
Vice President Kashim Shettima said innovation drives manufacturing and Nigeria is brimming with possibilities and opportunities. The federal government's support for youth aspirations and entrepreneurship. The Vice President at the meeting commended financial institutions backing the creative sector. He announced plans to include young innovators in the government $617.7 million investment in digital and creative enterprises. Addressing economic concerns, the Vice President declared that the worst is over, noting that the Naira will continue to stabilize in the coming weeks and months as President Bola Tinubu administration tackles issues like food security, nutrition and insecurity.
We understand the unemployment challenges in Nigeria, and we have a whole creative community that have creativity but no formal education. We're pleased to launch this competition, which starts with a training program to train 1 million designers and creatives in product, furniture and industrial design.
As we all know, in line with Mr. President's 8-point agenda, job creation is a vital and a key component of that. So that's why we're excited to partner with her, because this project that the Vice President just launched has the potential of generating 1 million jobs.
The initiative, which aims to equip aspiring creatives with necessary skills and access to training, will feature design competitions and workshops where participants can showcase their prototypes and work with top Nigerian manufacturers. From the State House, Abraham Jubrila, NTA News.
Elsewhere, President Bola Tinubu says the administration is committed to deepening democracy by ensuring adherence to the rule of law and expediting the sustainable provision of good governance, justice and fairness to all Nigerian citizens. When he received a delegation from the United States Congress led by Senator Cory Booker at the State House, President Tinubu said while democracy must be defended, it must translate into tangibles of quality health care, good education, food security, shelter, and overall economic prosperity for the people of Nigeria. He said Nigeria is a necessary partner for the sustenance of democracy in Africa and beyond, noting that as the continent's biggest economy and largest democracy, Nigeria is well positioned to set the best continental example by delivering good governance to its people. Emphasizing the need for the United States to evolve a more prudent and pragmatic partnership with Africa, the Nigerian leader told the U.S. congressional delegation that the United States should consider upscaling critical development programs to strengthen ties with the continent. Leader of the visiting delegation, Senator Cory Booker, described President Bola Tinubu as a visionary leader who took tough but necessary decisions for the good of Nigerians. The U.S. Senator noted that Nigeria and the United States are partners bound by shared values of democracy, rule of law, and commitment to peace and good governance.
That we have interwoven destinies, and that's why American businesses invest over $5 billion here. We want that to grow. We already make extraordinary investments in public health here. That partnership is essential because a public health crisis anywhere is a public health crisis everywhere. But in addition to that, we share values and want to strengthen democracy because we know that a strong Nigerian economy, a strong Nigerian democracy is going to influence the whole continent of Africa and the world. So our partnership has to remain committed to those common values and those ideals.
I'm sure he further assured you that he's going to be delivering that message, and he will continue to support Nigeria in the U.S. legislature, as well as also with the Bretton Woods institutions. So we're talking IMF, World Bank, and so forth.
In other news, President Bola Tinubu has congratulated Mr. Bassirou Diomaye Faye on his election as the President of the Republic of Senegal, extending his congratulations to the people of Senegal as well. In a statement by the Presidential Advisor on Media and Publicity, Ajuri Ngelale, President Tinubu notes that the President-elect Faye comes with great promise and a sterling record, wishing him success as he takes on his important job of leading the people of Senegal. President Tinubu also congratulates the outgoing President Macky Sall for overseeing an election that has been widely adjudged as peaceful and transparent, noting that this, with the successful Liberian general election a few months ago, have affirmed his long-held conviction that the taproot of democracy is deeply established in West Africa and will only grow stronger as it is watered by good governance, justice and fairness to all. As the chairman of ECOWAS, the president affirms that the successful conduct of the Senegal election is a boost to the sub-regional organization in its efforts to promote peace and constitutional order, as well as strengthen ties among member states. Time for a break. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying. There are indications that some unions which recently embarked on strike in Nigerian universities may suspend further action following a meeting with the House of Representatives Committee on University Education. National Assembly correspondent Mohammed Rabiu Ali reports that the major concern by the aggrieved members are non-implementation of the 2009 agreement reached between them and government, which the committee promised to intervene.
The meeting involved leadership of the Non-Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities, the National Association of Academic Technologists, and the Senior Staff Association of Nigerian Universities. They complained over payment of arrears of new minimum wage, payment of retirement benefits to members, and poor funding of state universities, among other issues affecting university education.
There is no strike that has been called by these two unions. The government have not been appropriately notified.
After the signing of that agreement, 8 years after signing of that agreement, 90%, 80 to 90% of what was contained in that agreement were not implemented.
The unions agreed to suspend any further action pending the outcome of the intervention of the committee.
Look at most of these your requests. If there is any way, most of this can be shown to law to become an act in all these things, discuss that with the chairman. He can bring it on the floor of the house.
I will come up with a motion before the floor of the house. It will carry the weight of the entire House of Representatives, and it will be communicated to Mr. President directly.
It is expected that the unions will cascade to members the fruitful outcome of the meeting before announcing their position on the strike. From the National Assembly, Mohammed Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
Looking at other issues now, as part of another round of interventions, the Renewed Hope Initiative will, in the next few weeks, flag off its women agricultural support programs, WASP, for other geopolitical zones in the country. While announcing this at a quarterly meeting with wives of state governors at the Villa, Nigeria's First Lady, Oluremi Tinubu, urged them and other points of contact with her initiative to do more in facilitating smooth delivery of opportunities to the beneficiaries in their respective states. State House correspondent Adini Taiwo has more.
The quarterly meeting with Renewed Hope Initiative state coordinators is a platform to take stock, get reports from the subnationals on the implementation of ongoing interventions, as well as get updates for coming programs. Since the last meeting, interventions including Women Agricultural Support Program, WASP, have been implemented in the southeast, while distribution of free exercise books across the state was also flagged off in the FCT. While she applauded the implementation of some of the programs, especially WASP, an alternative high school for girls in Bauchi State, the First Lady notes that the number of beneficiaries for scholarships and other opportunities will increase even further, with coordinators doing more for their citizens to access available opportunities.
So I want us to be good ambassadors of our various states and take all this home.
Done with stock taking, the First Lady also took time out to enumerate some of the interventions lined up, starting with agriculture.
Collaboration with the Ministry of Agri for agricultural programs for women and young men. So we want every state to give us 100 beneficiaries, 75 women and 25 young men who are into farming or who would want to go into farming.
And there is more.
TET Fund. Their intervention is to support us in our various tertiary institutions. So they are looking at infrastructure improvement, scholarship, donation, equipment of ICT facilities to our tertiary institutions in the state. So we want you to nominate one institution to start with.
She also announced April 13th for the launch of the We Are Equal campaign of the Organization of African First Ladies for Development, OFLAD, in keeping with her pledge to use education as a focal point in driving the campaign. In the State House, Adeni Itaiwo, NTA News.
Away from the State House now, let's head to Kaduna State. And after the tragic incident of drone misfire at Tudunbiri village in Kaduna State, the commitment made by the government to rebuild the community has begun to take shape as resources are mobilized for the construction of basic social amenities in the village, as promised by President Bola Tinubu. Muhammad Umar Jingi reports that Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani laid the foundation for the construction of a variety of life-changing infrastructures.
The once vibrant spirit of the village, suddenly dimmed by the tragedy, was reignited as the sounds of progress filled the air, with workers erecting different structures ranging from a mosque, hospitals, skill acquisition center, drilling boreholes to provide water for the people, as well as the construction of this road linking the village to Kaduna metropolis.
The travel time from this very important community to the town will be reduced. Movement of goods will also be eased. And most of the people that will participate are the people of the very community, so there will be job creation.
Buba Yunusa, one of the survivors who operated the sound instrument on that Saturday the incident happened, says through tragedy they now find hope of a better tomorrow as the construction takes shape.
If the government builds hospital for us, we are happy now. But if you get tired to go car or airport, you know, the government said that will do what for us. Now we don't see it. Government then starting doing everything.
However, amidst the pain and memories of their loved ones, there is a sense of hope in this community as the construction progresses. In Kaduna, I am Muhammad Umar Jingi, NTA News.
Now, the federal government has declared Friday, the 29th of March, and Monday, the 1st of April, 2024, as public holidays to mark the Good Friday and the Easter Monday, respectively. In a statement, the Minister of Interior, Olubunmi Tunji Ojo, urges Christians and other Nigerians to emulate the sacrifice and love as exemplified by Jesus Christ, who died on the cross for the redemption of mankind. The statement notes also the significance of Easter to promote values of love, forgiveness and passion, which were very essential to social harmony and cohesion, and urges Nigerians to imbibe these virtues for the socio-economic development of the country. Wishing Christians at home and in the diaspora a blissful Easter, the minister urges Nigerians to practice the act of charity to help alleviate the economic conditions of the less privileged, in line with the renewed hope agenda of the federal government. No fewer than 214,500 vulnerable people received food palliatives to support them while the Nigerian economy gets better. Emmanuel Akila reports that this is the 17th in the series of palliative distribution in Gombe State since 2020.
From the era of COVID-19 to the present-day economic challenges occasioned by rise in exchange rate and the resultant inflation in the country, Gombe State has been distributing palliatives to reduce the difficulties of especially the poor and vulnerable.
This current one is targeted at over 200,000 less privileged and vulnerable persons across the 2,218 polling units in Gombe State.
This distribution of palliatives marks the 17th initiative since he assumed office on May 29, 2019.
The distribution of the palliative this time around targets the Lent and the Ramadan seasons to carry everyone along during the spiritual exercise.
With the coming of the holy month of Ramadan, which also coincides with the Lent period in the Christendom, a time of reflection, compassion and generosity, we stand ready to extend our support once again.
The beneficiaries say the relief materials come in handy as they grapple with providing daily bread to their families. Today, this is what we'll cook in my house. With this flag off, the distribution committee continues the distribution to units and political wards across the 11 local government areas of the state. In Gombe, Emmanuel Akila, NTA News.
If Governor Babagana Umar Zulum attains the full potential of his agricultural vision, Borno State may in no distant time become the centerpiece of the nation's agricultural exploits. Economic observers point to massive deployment of facilities, application of technology and uncommon passion in pushing the state to exploit the profitability of modern agriculture as evidence to that fact. Mohammed Goni in Maiduguri chronicles the journey so far as post-insurgency Borno State envisages a buoyant future in agribusiness.
Situated about 25 kilometers away from Maiduguri, the state capital, residents of Bokweri community may not have fully grasped the immense treasure planted at the back of their houses, an irrigation scheme capable of making Borno State not only food sufficient but exporter of food and cash crops has sprung up. With temperature around Maiduguri general area rising as far as 44 degrees Celsius, a greener future like this is unthinkable before now. But application of modern irrigation technology by the Borno State government has made that a reality. Planted on the 25-hectare drip irrigation field with constant water supply are hybrid sesame and maize, which have blossomed, promising a high yield with a focus of about 364 tons in one cropping cycle. With 3 cycles per year, over 1,092 tons of maize and other crops are expected. This is just one out of the 7 innovative and climate-smart irrigation projects Borno State government initiated in some local government areas to resuscitate means of livelihood of the returning communities and make the state exporter of food and cash crops as envisaged by Governor Babagana Umar Zulum.
It's not sustainable for the government to distribute food and non-food items to the IDPs. There is a need for us to strengthen the resilience of the community, and therefore, there is peace now in Borno State. So people should be encouraged to go to their farmlands.
Land is not a limiting factor. We have enough fertile and arable land whereby it supports different comparative advantages regarding the 3 senatorial zones. But most of the issues we are having is the constraint in water. Water has been a limiting factor. In that regards, we adopted this scheme whereby we will have 30 to 50% water utilization efficiency compared to the ordinary and traditional flowed irrigation systems that we are having.
With over 10,000 drip irrigation kits in stock, the authorities are optimistic that the state can cultivate at least 1,000 hectares of land after the rainy season.
This irrigation system, you have control over the crops. You know when to irrigate and you know when not to irrigate. So you have control all over the farming system. And the yield that you are going to get from irrigation is higher than all other types of farming system because you have the control over the watering, fertilizing, when to irrigate, when to fertilize, when to weed. So because of these reasons, you are expected to have a higher yield, better than other farming systems.
Borno State government is targeting cultivation of 300 hectares in the 3 senatorial zone, with each zone expected to cultivate 100 hectares. The state government has unveiled a lot of incentives and packages for farmers, especially sales of petrol at subsidized rate across the state and provision of fertilizer and other agricultural inputs. In Maiduguri, Mahmoud Goni, NTA News.
Away from Borno State now, but still talking agriculture. At various stages of the farming process, the federal government is taking steps to mitigate all forms of pest attacks likely to reduce bumper harvest in the country. Minister for Agriculture and Food Security, Abubakar Kyari, stated this at the flag-off of the 2023-2024 aerial spray to control trans-boundary agricultural pests in Kebbi State. Usman Abdullahi Shehu brings us details.
Despite Kebbi State feat in food production, agricultural pests such as quilla birds attack has robbed many farmers of bumper harvest over the years. It is therefore not out of place for Kebbi State to be the federal government's first choice for the flag of the dry season aerial spray control of transboundary agricultural pests for 12 frontline states in the country.
I believe it will go a long way to aid food security and enhance our production.
Minister of Agriculture and Food Security, Senator Abubakar Kyari, says the federal government pest control will be a continuous one until pests, especially quilla birds, are eliminated across 12 frontline states in the country.
We are also committed to building the capacity of both federal and state government technical field staff through continual refresher trainings to prepare them to prevent and respond to migratory pest invasion safely, responsibly, and in an environmentally friendly manner.
I know the federal government is doing a lot to assist the state to develop agriculture and to produce more food for the citizens of this country.
The Kebbi State Ministry of Agriculture is to supervise the exercise for effective coverage in the state. The 12 agricultural frontline states are Kebbi, Sokoto, Zamfara, Gombe, Katsina, Kano, and Jigawa. Others are Adamawa, Bauchi, Borno, Yobe, and Taraba states. Bringing Kebbi, Usman Abdullahi Shehu, NTA News.
Away from agriculture now, Total Energies, in collaboration with Nigeria, Sao Tome and Principe Joint Development Authority, has donated hygiene and sanitary facility to Moshood Abiola Polytechnic, Mapoli, Abeokuta, Ogun State. Total Energies Upstream Nigeria Limited says the facility is a corporate social responsibility initiative. Yemi Dalimo reports.
For the service of humanity and for the benefit of the students and community of Moshood Abiola Polytechnic.
At the inauguration of the facility at the Moshood Abiola Polytechnic Abeokuta, the Managing Director and Country Chair, Total Energies Upstream Nigeria Limited, Mr. Matthew Boya, explained that the facility was a corporate social responsibility initiative for the institution in response to the health challenges posed by infectious diseases, adding that the need for preventive health care is a responsibility of every stakeholders. Acting Chairman, Nigeria, Sao Tome and Principe Joint Development Authority, Dr. Jack Loveday, noted that diseases such as Ebola and the COVID-19 pandemic had shown that basic hygiene such as hand washing and good sanitary environment will go a long way in protecting the people.
Most of infectious diseases starts with sanitation, and so in order to reduce infectious diseases in the country, in a community where you have a melting pot of students, lecturers, that was why this project was situated here as an improvement for infectious diseases.
With this project, we have access to clean and hygiene toilet facilities are now available to polytechnics. Solar panels and batteries ensure constant renewable energy. Borehole and riot tanks ensure constant supply of clean water to run the facilities.
The donors should be expecting that we will make use of the facility judiciously, and we can assure them that we will also ensure that it will be well maintained.
The facility inaugurated comprises 10 toilets divided into 2 parts of 5 toilets, each for females and males, including urinal for male and other ancillary items. A borehole with a 5.5 HP automatic solar-powered submersible pump, a 5.5 kVA hybrid solar-powered system were part of the facility. 2 overhead water tanks of 2,000 liters and perimeter fence, gatehouse, barbed wire and skylight sun shed were provided to fortify it. In Abuja, Yemi Dalimo, NTA News.
Let's have a few of more commercials. Remain tuned. Glad to have you back. Women have been described as key players in the nation's prosperity, and as such should be equipped with digital skills so they can come up with innovative solutions and be included in the ever-evolving digital technology landscape. Chimdima Ndubisi reports that this formed part of discussions at the Young Women's Conference organized by the Office of the Senior Special Assistant to the President on Citizenship and Leadership, where women gathered to share ideas on closing gender gaps and increase female involvement, empowerment and leadership in socio-economic and political affairs. Here, President Bola Tinubu was recognized as a he-for-she champion and commended for appointing more women and youths in public offices.
He appointed women for the sake of tokenism. He has placed highly qualified and competent women in important positions. Our dream is to build a nation that works for us all, men and women, side by side, living fulfilling lives and contributing to nation building as partners in progress.
We want our women to join the political system. We want you to join the industrial system, the public system, and I also encourage you to show the leadership in you.
Eliminating gender disparities in access to and the use of technologies is critical for reducing inequality in society. Therefore, NIDA is committed to building a discrimination-free nation, regardless of gender, physical condition, geological location, or socio-economic status, aligning with the present renewed hope agenda.
Still focusing on women, the advocacy for a stronger non-governmental intervention towards improving rural healthcare delivery and development to complement government efforts came under spotlight recently when Nigerian women in international development met in New York during the Beth Nelly Charity Foundation parallel event to deliberate on women development in urban and rural communities. Founder of the charity organization, Betty Olutunde, emphasizes that prevailing realities in rural communities demand that all hands be on deck to deliver basic services to enable the people have better life. Francisca Abile reports.
Primary focus on improving the quality of life for women and girls in underprivileged communities across the country. It was a gathering of women with tested credentials in philanthropy, social work, and development matters. Founder Beth Nelly Charity Foundation Betty Olutunde says the foundation spent 14 years intervening in rural areas, contributing to developing primary health care delivery and benchmarking quality basic education.
We build lives, we change lives by what we do. During the COVID-19, we had to do a lot of training of health workers, and one of our first places which we did health workers training was in Katsina, and we trained 60 health workers, and in that same village I wanted to make it like something very honorable, and I looked for the school where the former president of Nigeria went to. I renovated the school.
Such intervention have left impact on communities. Drawing from this, speaker stressed the need for the success story of the daring effort made by Bettinelli Charity Foundation in a place like Katsina to be replicated on a bigger scale.
When you give a woman happiness, she will bring wealth. You don't need to alleviate any kind of poverty. She is not poor. She is a rich woman. Because she will make everyone in her community rich.
In Abuja, Francisca Bile, NTA News.
Now time to hear from Benny. Benny, what's the latest?
Thank you. And talking business, in the fight against inflation and the quest to conquer and restore price stability, the Central Bank of Nigeria has continued to tighten liquidity based on economic data and market conditions. These experts say has a double-edged impact.
In the last 1 year, you have seen an increase in money supply by 40 trillion, and that is what is driving inflation. So when you have that amount of money in the system, you have to be able to, ease off and be able to basically constrict money supply. And that's, you do that by tightening and by increasing interest rates. Now, who are the beneficiaries? The people who are saving money. So this is the time for you to save. So the CBN now needs to also reduce the loan to deposit ratios in banks so that savers and investors can benefit. So at the end of the day, there are two sides to the coin. The purchasing power of Nigerians have reduced. With 133 million Nigerians in multidimensional poverty, we have become a sachet economy. So right now, with the resets that the government has done, they are now targeting inflation at 21% by the end of this year, and interest rates is now at 24.7%. So that means that if they achieve that target by year end, we will restore value to the system and purchasing power parity will come to bear. So that is really what the objective is. Once you have that, then you can now begin to think about growth.
Meanwhile, Nigeria's broad money supply has surged to a new high of 95.56 trillion as of February 2024, despite hawkish tightening stance of the Monetary Policy Committee. The CBN says the figure represents a 79.29% surge from 53.3 trillion naira recorded in February 2023, showcasing a substantial year-on-year growth of 42.26 trillion naira. And Nigeria's money supply M2 also hit a historical high of 93.9 trillion naira in February from a record 92.8 trillion established in January 2024. The figures indicate an upward trajectory of Nigeria's broad money supply, which is the M3. A quick look at the market. Investors gained 187.24 billion naira as the all-share index advanced by 0.32% to close at 103.952.47 basis points. The total volume traded advanced by 33.46% to close at 499.71 million naira, valued at 12.4 billion naira, and traded in 10,260 deals. Access was the most traded stock by volume with 83.60 million, while GTCO was the most traded stock by value with 2.52 billion naira units traded. At the close of trading, the market recorded 29 gainers, 19 losers, and 72 equities remained unchanged. That is business news. News Extra continues with Ienre.
Many thanks, Benny, for that update. But let me also update you that the Chief Executive Officer of the Nigerian Upstream Petroleum Regulatory Commission, Gbenga Komolafe, has set up a committee with the mandate of producing a template for seamless implementation of the Petroleum Industry Act stipulation on producers meeting their crude oil obligations to the country. The committee, made up of key players, has 48 hours to submit their report. Lydia Samson has all the details.
The meeting with Oil Producers Trade Session and the International Public Policy Association in Abuja is said to be born out of the resolve to reverse Nigeria from being a net importer of crude oil to becoming a net exporter of refined crude oil.
As a commission, we've set up a committee with the industry to come up with a template in line with the international best practices that will be deployed to help in smooth implementation of these provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act.
Though the producer's crude oil obligation is a provision of the PIA, navigating teething problems still needs to be conquered.
That template is most needed because it will give everyone clarity on what they need to do on each aspect, both from the buyer of the crude and also the potential supplier and seller of the crude.
Stakeholders talking point blank are optimistic that developing a template for rule of engagements in the upstream in line with international best practice is the only way of navigating dynamics of crude oil marketing as an international commodity whose operations must be guided by international best practices. In Abuja, Lydia Samson, NTA News.
The NNPC Limited wishes to clarify rumors suggesting a price adjustment for petrol, PMS and automotive gas oil, diesel at its retail stations nationwide. A statement by the Chief Corporate Communications Officer, NNPCL Olufemi Shuneye, says the company asserts that these reports are false and urges Nigerians to disregard them entirely. NNPC Limited reaffirms its commitment to sustaining the current sufficiency in petroleum products supply across all its retail stations in the country. Looking at other news now, Minister of Solid Minerals Development, Dele Alake, says Nigeria will no longer grant mining licenses to mining companies who do not add local value to extracted raw materials in the country. This was during his tour of G African Natural Resources Iron Ore Plant in Kaduna State. Ekene Undulwe reports that he was accompanied by his counterpart from the Trade and Investment Ministry.
Gujeni Village embodies huge investments in iron ore with the production value chain from crushing, separation and purification. For the management, it is in line with the policy of the present administration to reduce steel importation and make Nigeria self-sufficient in steel production.
We have a mining capacity of over 6 million tons per annum. The direct reduced iron produced here will be a direct substitute for ferrous scrap currently used as raw material for producing steel in Nigeria. It will also gradually position Nigeria as a prominent crude steel producer globally.
The ministers note that the $600 million investment is a milestone in industrial development in the country, a critical aspect of the Renewed Hope agenda.
To all other companies in this sector, this is the way to go. When we say that we are going to restructure the economy of Nigeria, it's not rhetoric. This is a practical example of it.
With the Infrastructure Development Fund that was launched and also with the Industrial Revitalization Plan of the Ministry, you can only say that the steel industry is about to see a boom.
The task ahead is enormous. The understanding of what lies ahead is sealed with the presentation of mementos to the ministers and representative of the host community. Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
Russian ambassador to Nigeria, Alexei Shebrashin, has expressed gratitude to the Nigerian government and friends for their solidarity since last week's terror attack at the Crocus City Concert Hall outside Moscow. This was when some notable personalities visited him at the embassy. Suleiman Abdul Wahab reports.
It has been a time of sober reflection since last week's attack, which killed over 130 people and put the Russians in a state of national mourning.
Nigeria and in Russia. I'm really honored and thank you very much for coming. I know that they're very busy people.
Russia has always stood with us
and always tried their best to help us. And I believe strongly that in their own time of need, we must reciprocate, and that's why we're here.
Russia has been part of this country, really. I am like from fertilizer producers in this country. Recently, Russia donated fertilizer to this country.
Report says 4 people were arrested and charged to court, and more investigations are ongoing so as to bring the perpetrators to justice. In Abuja, Suleiman Abdul Wahab, NTA News.
Some commercials need to breathe now. I'll be back. Stay. Thank you for staying. Artificial intelligence technology has the potential to enhance the creation of content and media consumption experience while easing the work of spokespersons, but not without its negativities. Haman Jabani reports that this dominated discussions on the second day of the Spokespersons Summit.
The use of artificial intelligence is growing at an unprecedented pace, and it is being deployed in almost all aspects of human life. It is believed that AI can affect the way spokespersons carry out their duties, either positively or negatively. This, therefore, led to discussions on the second day of the Spokesperson Summit on AI tool for spokespersons, global trend in managing risks, disaster and crisis communication, future-proofing corporate communication, among others.
One of the things that oil democracy is communication. But it's not what you say, but how you say it. You can see consistently the Honorable Minister has said that, look, the narrative we're giving on behalf of this government is going to be positive narrative. No matter what we do as a nation, if we are not deliberate about crafting positive narrative about our country, we are not going to be able to build good public perception about our country.
New trends of crisis management, as a spokesperson, you are bound. You never expect that, you are immune to crisis. No, crises are abound. You are always liable. You are always at risk of confronting crisis. So, with the new trends now, how do you manage crisis?
Participants were exposed to gatekeeping, crisis management, enhancing digital literacy and rapid response mechanism, which will go a long way in addressing some of the challenges associated with AI.
The challenge for us is to be able to familiarize ourselves with the technology that could be used to counter these deep fakes so that we can future-proof our jobs, to prevent disasters, and if at all disasters happen, how to handle them, then ensure that all is well with your organization.
As a state, we are coming out of over 10 years of insurgency. We are restoring vital infrastructure and way of life of our people. We also have a 10-year strategic transformation initiative. All these have to be packaged and presented to the public, both within the state and outside of the state.
It was stressed that stakeholders management is crucial in enhancing the work of spokespersons. Haman Jabani, NTA News.
The Bureau of Public Service Reforms, BPSR, has made a case for the establishment of a governing board that will assist the Federal Road Maintenance Agency, FEMA, achieve its mandate. This is contained in a report of self-assessment and performance carried out on the agency by the BPSR. Kenneth Nani reports.
Part of its mandate is road maintenance, which is a critical aspect of infrastructural development. Recognizing this, an assessment was carried out on FEMA by the Bureau of Public Service Reforms in the areas of strategic planning, procurement, change management, alternative sources of funding in tandem with international best practices. The agency was given a pass-mark performance of 72.25%. However, the report is also asking FEMA to improve on strategic planning that will spell out staff role from head to bottom, pay attention to innovation, code of conduct for staff, and human resources development policies to achieve the required goal.
We are encouraging FEMA to come up with a strategic plan that is crafted by the staff of FEMA. We want you to have a human resource development policy in place that will be incorporating the new performance management reforms, which is now almost a law.
For FEMA, The assessment is an opportunity to rejig operations to accommodate new initiatives that will ensure multi-dimensional funding, encourage partnerships, manpower development towards achieving road user satisfaction.
So for us to be a 21st century road agency, our processes has to improve, our technologies has to improve, and also the training we have on human resources also has to improve.
Both organizations agree that to achieve road access management and maintenance is a collective effort. Kenneth Nanim, NTA News.
The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, is restating its commitment towards making the November governorship election in Ondo State more inclusive of the provision of assistive devices for persons with disabilities. INEC National Commissioner Professor Kunle Ajayi stated this in Akure at a technical session on the implementation of the Commission's inclusivity tools with PWD's cluster heads ahead of the election. Toyi Batire reports.
Hallmark of a credible and democratic electioneering process is its inclusivity. Consequently, the electoral umpire gathered the stakeholders towards ensuring a playing ground for them.
Research shows that persons with disabilities constitute a considerable percentage of voters in Nigeria, and the 1,288 of them in Ondo State make significant impact in the electioneering process. Hence, the need to discuss, re-strategize, and facilitate their full participation by ensuring that their challenges are minimized. INEC National Commissioner represented said that Section 54 of the Electoral Act 2022 empowers the Commission to take reasonable steps in ensuring that people with disabilities, special needs, and other vulnerable persons are given support at the polling units by the provision of assistive devices. As a result, the Commission, in line with the Electoral Act, will provide assistive devices such as magnifying glasses, enlarged posters, and Braille ballot guide at polling units where the PWDs are identified.
The Commission in the state promises to foster respect for the rights and dignity of PWDs, discourage stereotypes, prejudices, and harmful practices in relating to PWDs in the forthcoming and subsequent elections in the state.
Brave voters, this thing, but we have not seen it before. But thank God we have seen it today, and we have know how to use it.
This is the avenue to pour out our mind to say what we need, then what we didn't need for the election.
In Nakure, Toyi Batire, NTA News.
We all know that, that story will come much later, but let's look at the Edo election now. Following the conclusion of party primaries, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, says 17 political parties have uploaded candidates' nomination forms for the Edo State governorship election, but the 6 p.m. 24th March 2024 deadline, when dedicated portal automatically shuts down. INEC National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Sam Olumekun, in a statement disclosed that the personal particulars of the governorship candidates and their running mates will be published on Saturday, 30th March 2024, a week from the last date for the submission of nominations as provided in Section 29, subsection 3 of the Electoral Act 2022. He added that the Commission shall publish the personal particulars by displaying copies of Form EC9 along with all academic credentials and other documents submitted by each candidate at the state headquarters and the 18 local government offices across Edo State. The Commission appealed to Nigerians to scrutinize the documents and any aspirant who participated in his or her party primaries with reasonable grounds to believe that the information provided by the candidate is false can challenge the nomination in a federal high court as provided in Section 29, subsection 5 of the Electoral Act 2022. The Edo State governorship election is scheduled to hold on Saturday, 21st September 2024. Now, we all know that when you fail to plan, you're planning to fail. We also know that politics is a game of numbers. So a political party with plans to stay ahead of others will plan to get the numbers. All right. That is what the national leadership of the governing All Progressives Congress, APC, is about to do, as its as it inaugurates 6 APC governors across the geopolitical zones to deepen the support base and widen the scope of membership. Political correspondent Abubakar Kwanga will tell us about this inauguration.
The coordinating governors are that of Cross River, Imo, Kaduna, Kwara, Lagos and Yobe states, with terms of reference to initiate, implement and drive an agenda that will promote good governance and inclusive participation in all party affairs. And the national chairman of APC, Dr. Abdullah Umar Ganduje, says the party will ensure it makes its offices nationwide viable in all seasons and put its image in the limelight of attracting more membership, leveraging on its progressive institute to drive the process.
We need to educate our members. We need to have our own political party must have an identity, because we must know where we are heading to. That is why it is easy for politicians to cross from one party to another, something like that, because they lack identity.
We are not going to mobilize our people only to participate in party activities. The government of Federal Republic of Nigeria belongs to the party. Our members should also populate the government, and our members should also participate actively in the affairs, implementations of the various policies of the government.
Coordinating governors for the national assignment say the team will work in principle and action to ensure the party dominates more space that will put it at a vantage position in all future elections. In Abuja, Abubakar Akwanga, NTA News.
Following the killing of military personnel in Okwama, Ogeli, Delta State and other heinous crimes by criminal elements in some parts of the country, concerned support groups are calling for divine intervention through prayers as a non-kinetic approach to surmounting challenges confronting the nation. Elizabeth Omori reports that the leadership of the Grassroots Mobilization for APC, Bola Tinubu Foundation, in company of other support groups, visited the Nigerian Television Authority headquarters in Abuja. They say the current mood of the nation requires sober reflections, and as such, the annual Interfaith Unity Prayer Session at the Eagle Square by the support groups will not be holding tomorrow as scheduled.
We need prayer to pray for our president and our leaders, God to support them.
Looking at our differences, and we're trying to bring us back in one unity, so we can have peace in the country. We can now have better government, can also do their jobs properly.
Urged Nigerians to support initiatives of the federal government to ease economic burden.
That when we pray, God will surely hear us and protect our president.
Your houses with your family, commit this country into the hand of God, because that is the only way out.
A new date will be announced for the 9th Interfaith Unity Prayer Meeting. Another break is due. Christians have been called upon to practice life of sacrifice, love, unity, and always pray for the nation. Archbishop of Abuja Catholic Archdiocese, Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama, said this during a chrism mass in Abuja. Zenreth Digmon reports.
It's a solemn mood as parishioners converged on the Catholic Pro Cathedral for chrism mass, in line with activities of the church for the Holy Week, where priests renew their vows. Most Reverend Ignatius Kaigama tasked them on sacrificial love and unity of purpose as he extends goodwill message to the Muslim faithful in the month of Ramadan.
The good things you do as a Christian, you try to intensify them. So don't say Lent is over, I take a sigh of relief and I can now go back to my former ways. That will not be the correct attitude.
All is for us who are Christians and every other person as well to imbibe this teaching of Jesus, to love, to have concern for the lives, the welfare, and the well-being of other people.
This gives us the grace, gives us the strength, and then the zeal to go back and then to work for God and to work for the people.
As a tradition of chrism, The oils to be used in the church for baptism, ordination, anointing of the sick and dead for the next 1 year were blessed. In Abuja, Ienre, NTA News.
Let's have a bit of sports now.
In the Battle of Eagles in Marrakesh, Morocco, the Eagles of Mali came out tops with a 2-0 victory over the Super Eagles of Nigeria in an international friendly on Tuesday night. The outcome of the match is now a reality check for the Super Eagles interim coach Finidi George, who has now won 1 of his 2 matches in charge.
I think it would be fair enough to try him as one of our own who has the pedigree, who has the experience to lay a foundation for the Super Eagles.
Meanwhile,
and that's the much we can take as far as sports is concerned. Many thanks for being a part of News Extra tonight. We appreciate you. Have a good night.